Hey, it's Friday evening, June 5th. Good to be with you tonight. God's Word is specifically designed to meet us when we face trouble. Sometimes, like Job, we face issues that aren't directly something that we can attribute to ourselves. There are issues happening around us that seem unfair, out of control, and we seem very little we can do about it. And that's troubling. So Job goes to God. It sounds good, but he goes to God and he's demanding of God, asking God, what is going on here? God, help me make sense of this. And in chapters 38 to 42, God responds to Job. But he says, before I answer your question, let me ask you a few questions. And these questions are designed to help Job give his perspective correctly so he can trust God. And there's a lot of strong statements made in these chapters that I just referenced. But towards the end of chapter 38, God softens his tone a bit, comes to Job, and reminds him of some things that are very precious. And he helps Job to see perhaps his perspective that God really is a good God and he can trust him, but that God's power is much greater than what Job can comprehend. So in the middle of these questions, he asked these. He said, can you direct the movement of the stars, binding the cluster of the Pleiades, or loosening the cords of Orion? Can you direct the constellation through the seasons, or guide the bear with her cubs across the heavens? Do you know the laws of the universe? Can you use them to regulate the earth? Can you shout to the clouds and make it rain? Can you make lightning appear and cause it to strike as you direct? Who gives intuition to the heart and instinct to the mind? Who is wise enough to count the clouds? Imagine that, counting the clouds. Who is wise enough to count the clouds? Who can tilt the water jars of heaven when the parched ground is dry and the soil is hardened into clods? In other words, when we're needing water, who is it that can just tilt these jars and pour them out? See, God is reminding Job that God can do all these things and we can't. And after hearing these multiple questions of God asking Job, Job repents and says he was wrong to challenge God. Wasn't wrong to ask, but the challenge is there. And God is directing Job back to be comfortable with his God, to trust his God. And this great God who directs the clouds, who moves the vast constellations in space, in the vastness of the universe. God just speaks and these things obey. God is saying to Job, it's going to be all right. Trust me. Don't start with doubting me and asking me questions. Ask me questions and come to me for help. And that's our peace. And that's Job's peace. And this night, if things seem very, very much out of control and unfair to you, God is not asleep in any of this. Think about these questions and realize that your God, the one who is in control, answers them all, and we can answer none of them. But we can have peace in the God who does. And that's the thought for this night. Rest well, be safe, and we'll see you in the morning. Good night.